glare. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little better. That was bright. Former me share checking in from the basement of the flower picking garden, and I want to show you all my seedlings. I'm very excited. I did not come to water yesterday, so this is what everything is looking like after being watered on Saturday. If you saw my short, I fertilized everything on Friday with Neptune fish fertilizer, and y'all, look how much my babies have grown. Look how much my babies have grown. We'll check out the ones in the indoor greenhouse first. I think I'm going to turn that light back on so you can see better. I just don't like that glare. But let me move y'all closer. You can already see. So everything is getting watered today. These are the cosmos. Look at them. And the only ones that haven't germinated are back here, the Diablo mix. So I don't know what's going on with the Diablo mix. Maybe we'll get some, maybe we won't. But everything else has sprouted up so tall and beautiful. So those are the cosmos. And then we have, I'll put this right here. And then we have the status. So if you've been here, my first status trade got demolished. Something ate it. And then look at this tray. I'm trying to find good lighting. This glare. Let me just bring you closer to the here. So this is my tray of status, my new updated tray. And I think I sold these last week, last Tuesday. So this is what these look like. They're growing so fast. I don't remember my status one growing this fast last season, and I don't remember this many germinating. Status was very hard for me last season. So look at that. Very excited about that. Let me lower the camera so y'all can really so y'all can get that good angle. That didn't do anything. There we go. All right. And then after the status, so everything, like I said, is very dry because I didn't come to water yesterday. My marigolds. So this first section of marigolds are cocoa yellow, and these were newer seeds of cocoa yellow, and then the pinwheel marigolds and the cracker jack marigolds were older seeds that I had, but you can see that aside from the cocoa yellow, the cracker gold, is that what it is? Cracker jack marigold is germinating, but nothing yet from the pinwheel marigold. So we'll see. I don't even really see any signs of life in those pinwheel ones, so we'll see. But cracker jack ones in cocoa yellow, we have something. And like I said, everything is super, super dry because I didn't water yesterday, but nothing died. And then look at my straw flower. Straw flower was very hard for me last year too. So I'm very excited about the straw flower growth, and I have bright rose, apricot, and cranberry rose. So this is what the straw flower is looking like, which is surprising because my straw flower did not germinate like that last year. And what else do we have? We have the snapdragons. Not sure what happened here with the snapdragons. This is not good lighting. I'm trying to find a good angle, y'all. I feel like there's a glare everywhere. This is better. Okay. Yeah, this is better. So here are the snapdragons, and you see like some of them really sprouted up, and then some of them didn't at all. Like nothing happened with those ones. I'm wondering if when the mouse or whatever rodent came through and ate some of my seedlings, if it messed with the snapdragons because I'm not understanding why a lot of them didn't germinate. But the ones that did, I'm hoping I can put them in the garden possibly in the next maybe 2 weeks. Maybe I'm thinking like not this Saturday, but next Saturday, put the ones that did germinate outside to harden off for about a week or two, and then put them in the garden. I am wondering if it's a little too late because, snapdragons like to be outside in the cold, but the ones that are in the garden haven't come back up yet, so we'll see. And bachelor buttons, look at them. Looking good. Y'all like the video, you know? But yeah, I have a black button and Florist Boy blue. And then the celosia, and y'all remember the celosia got attacked by whatever rodent came through here. So I didn't throw them all away. Some of them are still germinating, but I am going to start a new tray of celosia. And then over here, because the indoor greenhouse does not have that much room, so I had to put some stuff in here underneath. You know those aluminum pans you get at like the grocery store if you want to bake something. I got some aluminum pans and just took the lids off of them so that I could keep these here and also keep them so they can retain moisture on this shelf. So under here I have my amaranth and what else is this? Oh, my coreopsis. So everything is, like I said, severely dry. But here's the coreopsis Dyer's mix. And I wasn't going to put this in the garden, but since my Gloriosa daisy didn't germinate like I thought it would, I opted for coreopsis. So coreopsis is going to be in the bed with the what else? Rudbeckia, that's already there, the perennial that comes up. And then my amaranth, also very dry. But here's the amaranth. I think I lost some over the weekend. I'm thinking too, we have a dehumidifier here in the basement. And I remember last year we turned it off. So I may ask them if I could turn it off again, but I do know it gets very like humid down here when it rains, and it is a pretty rainy week. But we'll see. And I think besides my Gloriosa daisies, this is the last tray, and this is my Gumfrina here and Sunball Craftspedia here, and everything looks good. So everything will get a nice deep watering today, and then put back on the shelves. And I'm still debating on whether or not I want to um, start new seeds today, because I do need to start my zinnias. But this is a look at everything on the table that's going to need watered. And now that there are so many seedlings, it typically takes me about, I would say, an hour to get through watering, which isn't bad, but takes time because you got to make sure everything soaks up that water. You don't want them sitting in standing water. And then also, let me show y'all. I'm just going to throw these away today because there's no hope for the Echinops. They just kind of, this is cinnamon on top because they started molding, but I don't know what I did wrong here. I did the cold stratification. I did everything I was supposed to do, but not really sure what went wrong here. So maybe next year. Maybe next year. Yeah. There was, and I think I started these back in like February. So if something was going to happen by now, it would have happened. But yeah, they just kind of became moldy. So I'm going to toss these in the trash. And then once, and then I'll show y'all the Gloriosa daisies too. And like I said, with the Gloriosa daisies, I'm not going over, their history, but also when they were attacked by a rodent, it dug in them, and this is all I have left. And there's two here, so I'm hoping that they can grow larger and I could separate those two instead of, what is it called, thinning, and have at least three. And those will be my three Gloriosa daisies that'll go in the garden. And this cell tray is just taking up too much space for my setup here. Like, there's not enough room to have these in here, with the fact that I have to start more seeds because, like I mentioned, I have not started my zinnias yet. And we need the zinnias in the garden. But also, I've been debating on whether or not I want to direct sow the zinnias, because last year I had 2 rows of zinnias. One row was direct sowed, and one row was transplanted. And I'll be honest, the direct sowed ones looked better than the transplanted ones. The direct sowed ones were like 5 feet tall. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and water today. Put on some music first, some little background music while I water, and that's gonna be the vibe for today. I don't know if I'm gonna stay on here as I um, sow seeds. And that's even if I sow seeds today, because the rain has me a little bit tired. I just want to go back home and get in the bed, and then tomorrow doing some work in the garden to prepare the gourd trellises for planting gourds. That is not the vibe. I do like acid jazz. But it needs to be instrumental. Okay. Let me get some water and start watering these seedlings. Let me lower this so y'all can see the watering process. So we've done this before plenty of times, but to water the soil blocks, you always want to make sure you're bottom watering. If not, the blocks can crumble. Trying to set it up so y'all can see what I mean. You can't really see this tray. So we'll start down here with the Gomphrena. Very dry. No zinnias yet. I plan to start the zinnias today, but everything here on the table. So this tray right now is Gomphrena and Sunball. Ooh, spilling water. Craspedia. Let me turn that down. And then this next tray I'm going to are the Cosmos. So I had to use bigger soil blocks for the Cosmos because the seeds are much bigger. And then I just flood the tray. This may not be the best angle for y'all to see what I'm doing, but by flooding the tray, the seedlings just absorb all of the moisture. There we go. So you can see how they're starting to go from light to dark. So that just means they're soaking up all that water I'm putting in them. And then the cosmos. And this is a tray of status. 3 different varieties. So I have pale blue, seeker blue, and Pacific mix. And I was talking about earlier how my status did not germinate like this last year. I might have had a couple of them, but for the most part, they didn't do anything. And then straw flower. And I mentioned how my straw flower didn't germinate a lot last year either. I did put a couple in the garden, but most things I put it in the garden last year ended up getting eaten by the bunnies and the groundhogs that have decided that they were going to move in underneath the garden. Hmm. And then here we have the snapdragons. The snapdragons honestly aren't even that wet, or they're not that dry. But I'll still add a little water. And then next I have the bachelor buttons. And I'm hoping to get the bachelor buttons outside in the garden before April's over at least, because those can also deal with like cool weather. So if I put them out there while it's still cold, they won't die. They'll appreciate that, I think. I'm getting some more water. Yeah, I think we'll probably have to turn off the dehumidifier because it's drying everything out a lot quicker than they should be drying out. The bunnies have been on my braces too. I sprinkle my garden with cayenne pepper now. Look, I'm glad you said that because let me show you the plan. You see this? I am not playing this season. They will not. They will not. So I got a 2-gallon sprayer and that cayenne pepper. So the plan is to spray the garden regularly because when I tell you they ate so many things last year, they ate everything. And my marigolds, my sunflowers, my or not snapdragons, my straw flower. They ate my cinnamon basil, but I covered that up, row covered it, and that was fine. But they just ate everything. Everything except the zinnias, and they tried the dahlias, but I covered the dahlias up till they were too tall, and they stopped eating them, but they still would snack on the leaves a little bit. But yeah, and the thing is, like the garden that I grow in, and then so I work at a cemetery, and the owner, she has a little garden in her front yard, and they don't mess with her flowers at all. They only come into the garden to eat my flowers. But apparently, bunnies have this thing where if they find a space where they feel safe, and because the garden is fenced in, that's where they'll decide to eat. So they've decided that my flowers are their little snack, and but we also have actual fruit in the garden, and they don't mess with that fruit. They may take a bite out of the strawberries and leave them, or they might, they don't eat the raspberries, they don't eat the asparagus, the tomatoes. Like there's so much fruit in the garden, and they want the flowers, and I don't know what it is, but they got another thing coming when I come with the cayenne pepper. But everything still needs more water. You can see how these cosmos, they suck that water up. So they'll need more water. Gumfrina waiting for that to soak up the water. But yeah, let me get some more water. And I also have to plan a good time. So I didn't dig up all the dahlias last season, but what I want to do is the ones that I didn't dig up, I want to dig them up this month and separate them because I know there's going to be a bunch of tubers underground. And I want to separate them and probably just give some of them away. I know I planted some in my best friend's yard last year, and I don't think she dug them up, but hold on, I'm about to sneeze. Ooh, ooh, I thought I had to sneeze. But I do want to dig some up, at least before I go pick up the rest of them because I'm storing the other tubers at Garden Dreams. And I just want to make sure I have time to separate them because last year I didn't give myself enough time to separate them. And they didn't go in the ground till June, which wasn't too late, but my goal this season is to have everything in the ground by May 31st. So, only thing I want to be doing in June is any succession planning or garden maintenance, but I don't want to be like doing big plannings in June or after May 31st. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna let all that soak up the water, and then as that is going on, I technically need more space, but that's okay. We'll make it work with what I got. I don't know where this came from or why this is down here, but I'll move it. So I'm thinking to start zinnias. I want a lot of zinnias, like a lot, a lot, a lot. So I may start them on these green trays. Oh, y'all can't see me. I'll bring them over here. I may start the zinnias on these green trays because I want a lot of zinnias. And each tray, let's see how many it fits. So each tray fits about 20, 40, 60, 80, oh, about 100. 200 zinnias actually sounds like a lot of zinnias. um, I don't know. Maybe that's a little extra. But I don't know. We'll see. And if that is too many, I can always give some away or take some home. So I'm not too worried about that. But the seedlings that have absorbed the water, I'm going to start pouring the water off and then putting them back on the shelf. And because I'll be back tomorrow to water, I don't think everything needs to go in the indoor greenhouse. Mostly, I'm just gonna put the little ones back in there, like the Gumfrina. I think I'm gonna put the marigolds in there because they still need to germinate more. But everything else I feel like can go on the outside shelf because they don't need to be on the inside shelf. Let me lift this up. I really just need a camera crew, you know what I mean? Ooh, ooh. I got water on my laptop. Alright. So here's the Gumfrina, nice and watered. And I'm gonna put it back here. And you can see the cayenne pepper in here too because I mentioned earlier a rodent came through and took it upon itself to eat my seedlings. And next up, the straw flower, nice and watered. And I'll put that in here. I'm trying to put this a place where there's the glare is not extra. Okay, maybe over here is better. Ooh! And just keep spilling water. I'm gonna pour this into the cosmos. Bachelor buttons are gonna go on this shelf. Back there. And my amaranth, love lies bleeding. I don't know about these. But those are gonna go on this outside shelf too. The coreopsis back on this outside shelf. And I think I'm also gonna lower this one a little bit so the light is right on the seat, not right on them, but you know, a little closer. Ooh, not too low. Mm-hmm. Can y'all see? So, like right there, just a little closer. And this celosia, I'm probably going to give this like another week to have some more germination. And if nothing new comes from that, I'm going to just toss this, not toss the whole tray, but toss the ones that didn't germinate and only keep the ones that did. Because I'm starting to think whenever that rodent ate them, it probably likely ate the seeds of the ones that didn't germinate yet. And I'm going to put the status back in here. The cosmos are still soaking up some water. The marigolds. I think I want to put the marigolds in here. Let's give these ones a chance. And snapdragons are going to go back where they were in here on this shelf. And then I'll water those Gloriosa daisies later. Move these cosmos out of the way a little bit. Ooh. Y'all can't see me, but I'm just moving the cosmos. And then I'm going to show y'all my zinnias that I am planning on starting possibly today. And then once I start everything that I have a definite spot for in the garden, I'm going to start other things that I remember being very easy to grow last year. So, what is it? Cinnamon basil. My cinnamon basil, I feel like that was very nice last year. So I want to grow that because I really like it in floral. Oh my goodness. I really like the cinnamon basil in floral arrangements, although a lot of people didn't pick it in the garden. I don't know why they didn't. It's pretty, but so on my garden plan, I think I need a little smoother jazz. Acid jazz is just a little too much for me right now. Yeah, smooth it out. So on my flower crop plan, so y'all can see how organized I am. But I did get this from the last gardener. So the way I set it up this year was anything that's white, I probably grew last year, but I decided not to grow it this year. Everything that's green is here. I've already started those seeds. Anything that's yellow, I plan to start. And so I have the dahlias on here just because I have to cut and separate them. And my goal is to have those in the garden on May 19th. So we'll see what happens. Like I said last year, it wasn't until June, but I do want to have everything in the garden by June. And then for zinnias, I want to start a Senora mix, Queen Lime Orange, Oklahoma Ivory, Oklahoma Carmine, Queen Lime Red, Cinderella Peach. I don't know if that's supposed to say that. Queen Formula Mix and Benares Giant Mix. So my initial plan was to start those on March 21st, but because I had that rodent incident, I had to start a lot of things over, which took precedence over the zinnias because I'm not too worried about growing the zinnias. I feel like they grow really easy. So that's the plan. Let me make sure I even have all of those varieties that I mentioned. Okay. Zinnias. And I don't know, I don't think I ordered any more. I should have checked the seed packets to even make sure there's something in there. But this feels empty. Okay, no, there's some in here. So the Senora, Queen Lime Orange. I feel something in there. carmine. This queen red lime feels empty. Yep, there's nothing in here. Ivory OG. Okay, we got a couple. So I don't think I have enough to start the 200 that I intended to start. Okay, there's like 3 in here. Got Zinderella Peach. Giant Cactus Mix. Clean Formula Mix. So yeah, I might as well start all the zinnias that I have. Oh, there's a lot in here. What is this? Benares Giant Mix. I need to look up what that looks like because it's not ringing a bell right now. Which are the easiest to grow? Um, as far as what I have now, I'm sorry, I'm just now seeing that comment. But I think, like I mentioned, the easiest thing I've grown has been the zinnias and the cinnamon basil. I'm very surprised at how easy the status has been growing this season, I mentioned earlier, because it didn't grow like this. But I do think spraying everything with the fish fertilizer on Friday really helped, because I didn't realize. I don't know if you ever watched my videos on here, but I worked at a flower farm, and once a week we would fertilize the seedlings, but it never, like, I don't know, it never clicked in my brain that we were fertilizing them with fish fertilizer. Although I knew that's what it was, it just, there was just a disconnect. I was just like, she said fertilize the plants, I'm fertilizing them. I didn't really ask too many questions. But now that I'm doing this alone, I'm realizing, like, oh, the dots are finally connecting of why we did certain things. So I'm trying to get into I'm going to get into the habit of fertilizing every Friday, because I initially bought the fertilizer just to put the seedlings in the ground. But I'm like, oh wait, I can fertilize them weekly until I put them in the ground, and then give them a last fertilizer, soak them, and then plant them. So yeah, that is the goal. But I would say overall the easiest thing I've grown as far as a cut flower has been zinnias, and as far as a herb, the cinnamon basil has been really good. But yeah, the zinnias really surprised me this season. But also, I feel like the garden that I work at is just a very special place where all you really have to do is just show the flowers attention and they sprout up on their own. They really do. Okay, so this is the Benares Giant Mix. And that's pretty. And I did have this last year, but I don't remember a lot of the darker red tones. I just remember the purples, the pinks, not so much oranges. So, yeah, I'll be glad to see some. Let's see, Benares Giants are densely pink, coral, crimson, carmine, yellow, orange, purple, powdery mildew resistant. So maybe I'll put the majority of these in here, because powdery mildew, I did get powdery mildew, but towards the very end of the season, maybe like late September, they got the powdery mildew. But as far as the whole season, the zinnias did really good. And they say the thing about powdery mildew can be the spacing. So just making sure you're doing your spacing between them. I think maybe 6 inches. I did either 6 or 9 inches, 3 rows offset. And yeah, they were fine. No powdery mildew. But that is the plan for today. So what I think I'm going to do, since I just need more space and I tend to get distracted easy when I try to go live and sow seeds. So I'm going to hop off here, but thank you so much for joining Simply Living Bree and asking questions. And yeah, I'll be back to show y'all possibly the zinnias I sowed, or I'm just going to make a YouTube short and upload that. But everything's watered, so I'm gonna get off here, get myself together so I can make more soil blocking mix and sow these seeds today. Possibly. We'll see how I feel in about the next 10 minutes. But thank you all for joining, and I hope everybody has a great Monday. Bye.